I want you to take a breath right now. A real one, not the shallow kind you've been taking all day while your mind runs through everything you need to do and everywhere you need to be. A real breath, all the way down. And as you let it out, I want you to do something that most people find surprisingly difficult. I want you to let your mind go quiet, just for a moment, just long enough to hear something that has been trying to reach you for a very long time. Because what we are about to do together is not an ordinary test. It is not a quiz designed to put you in a category, or assign you a label, or tell you something you already know about yourself. What we are about to do goes much deeper than that. We are going to use something that Carl Jung discovered after decades of studying thousands of human minds across dozens of cultures and hundreds of years of recorded human history. We are going to use ancient symbols. And the one you choose today is going to reveal something about your unconscious mind that words have never quite been able to reach before. Carl Jung was without question one of the most brilliant and original thinkers the world has ever produced. He began his career as a student of Sigmund Freud, and Freud believed he had found his successor. But Jung could not stop at what Freud had discovered. His mind kept going deeper, kept asking bigger questions. And the question that consumed him more than any other was this: why do the same symbols appear in the dreams and visions of people who have never met, who live on opposite sides of the world, who speak different languages and come from completely different cultures, and yet produce the same images, the same patterns, the same symbols from the depths of their unconscious minds? A patient in Switzerland would dream of a serpent eating its own tail. A patient in Africa who had never left his village would describe the same image. A child in Japan would draw the same spiral that appeared in the stone carvings of ancient Ireland thousands of years before that child was born. Jung documented these patterns obsessively. He could not explain them through personal experience or cultural learning, because the people producing them had no connection to each other. And so he arrived at one of the most extraordinary discoveries in the history of human psychology. He called it the collective unconscious. Jung said that beneath the personal unconscious, beneath all your individual memories and experiences and wounds and desires, there is a deeper layer, a layer that does not belong to you personally, a layer that belongs to all of us, to every human being who has ever lived. It is a vast, ancient reservoir of shared human experience, shared human wisdom, and shared human symbols that we are all born already carrying inside us. We did not learn these symbols. We did not inherit them from our parents. They are built into us at a level so deep that the conscious mind cannot access them directly. They can only be accessed through instinct, through dreams, through the quiet pull you feel towards certain things without being able to explain why. And the symbols that appear most powerfully and most consistently across this collective unconscious are what Jung called archetypes, primordial images, patterns so ancient and so universal that they predate every religion, every culture, every civilization that has ever existed on this earth. They are the original language of the human soul. And today, 5 of those symbols are going to speak to you, and you are going to listen with something deeper than your mind. So here is what I need you to do. In a moment, I am going to describe 5 ancient symbols to you. I want you to picture each one clearly as I describe it. And I want you to notice which one creates a feeling inside you. Not a thought, not an analysis. A feeling, a pull, a recognition. Something that says yes without knowing why it is saying yes. That is your unconscious speaking. That is a collective unconscious reaching up through everything you have been taught and everything you have learned and touching something that was always already there. Trust that feeling completely. Choose the symbol that calls to you first. And then stay with me, because what that choice reveals about your unconscious mind is going to be one of the most honest things you have heard about yourself in a very long time. Here are your 5 ancient symbols. The first symbol is the Ouroboros. Picture a great serpent, ancient and powerful, curled into a perfect circle, its mouth consuming its own tail. The serpent is rendered in deep burnished gold against a dark background. The scales catch the light individually, each one a tiny mirror. The eye of the serpent is open, calm. It has been in this position since before memory began. There is something both unsettling and deeply peaceful about it. The circle it forms is unbroken, perfect, endless. The second symbol is the eye of Horus. Picture the sacred eye of ancient Egypt, rendered in extraordinary detail. The iris is a deep, luminous turquoise, almost glowing from within. Beneath the eye, the distinctive curved markings sweep downward in precise gold lines, each stroke carrying thousands of years of meaning. The eye does not blink. It does not look away. It sees everything. There is a quality to it that feels simultaneously protective and penetrating, as if it has always been watching over something precious. The third symbol is the Triquetra. Picture 3 interlocking arcs forming a single continuous unbroken line that loops and crosses itself to create 3 equal sections, each flowing seamlessly into the next. It is rendered in deep silver, almost like moonlight made solid. The lines are perfectly smooth. There are no beginning and no end. The whole symbol breathes with a quiet rhythm, as if it is not a static image, but something alive, something that has always been moving even when it appears still. The fourth symbol is the spiral of life. Picture a simple spiral carved into ancient gray stone, the kind of carving you would find at the entrance to a 5,000-year-old Irish passage tomb. The spiral begins at its outermost edge and turns inward, each revolution drawing closer to the center point with perfect mathematical precision. The stone around it is rough and weathered, but the spiral itself is clear, undimmed by time. It looks like something that was carved not to decorate, but to record, as if someone needed to put down in permanent form the most important thing they had ever understood about existence. The fifth symbol is the Ankh. Picture the ancient Egyptian cross, its distinctive loop rising above the crossbar, the vertical line dropping below. It is rendered in deep, rich bronze with gold detailing along the edges. The loop at the top is perfectly formed, smooth and continuous. The Ankh is the oldest recorded symbol for eternal life. It appears in the hands of gods and pharaohs, and ordinary people across thousands of years of Egyptian art. There is a weight to it, a gravity, not the heavy weight of burden, but the solid weight of something that has endured everything, and will endure everything still to come. Have you chosen? Good. Hold your symbol in your mind. Feel it. And now, let us find out what your unconscious mind has been trying to tell you. If you chose the Ouroboros, the serpent consuming its own tail, your unconscious mind is in the middle of one of the most significant processes a human being can experience. Jung called it enantiodromia. It is a psychological law that says everything, when it reaches its extreme, turns into its opposite. The serpent eating its own tail is the oldest symbol of this process in human history. It represents the moment when destruction and creation become the same thing, when the ending and the beginning occupy the exact same point in time. And the reason your unconscious chose the symbol today is because you are standing at that exact point right now. Something in your life has run its full course. A relationship, a belief about yourself, a way of operating in the world, a story you have been telling about who you are and what is possible for you. And the part of you that chose the Ouroboros is the part that already knows this, even if your conscious mind is still holding on. Jung said that the greatest suffering in human psychological life does not come from loss. It comes from refusing to acknowledge that something is already ended. The serpent does not resist consuming itself. It does not mourn what it was before it became what it is becoming. It simply completes the circle. Your unconscious is asking you to do the same, not to destroy yourself, but to allow the version of yourself that no longer serves you be consumed, so that the energy it held can become something new. The circle is not broken by this. The circle is completed by this. If you chose the eye of Horus, the sacred watching eye of ancient Egypt, your unconscious is speaking very clearly about something Jung identified as the central wound of highly perceptive people. And I want you to hear the word perceptive here very precisely, because the people who are drawn to the eye of Horus are almost always people who see more than those around them. They notice things others miss. They feel the emotional undercurrents in a room before anyone has spoken a word. They read situations with depth and accuracy that sometimes frightens even themselves. And very often they have spent years, sometimes entire lifetimes, pretending that they do not see what they see. Jung called this the curse of heightened perception when it goes unacknowledged. The eye of Horus across ancient Egyptian culture was not merely a symbol of vision. It was specifically a symbol of vision that protects, of seeing clearly in order to keep something sacred safe. And the message your unconscious is sending through this choice is that the gift of perception you carry was never meant to be hidden. It was never meant to be apologized for. It was never meant to be made smaller so that others could feel more comfortable around you. You were drawn to the eye that sees everything because something inside you is finally ready to stop pretending it does not. The protection this symbol promises is not protection from a world. It is protection that comes from finally allowing yourself to fully trust what you already clearly see. If you chose the Triquetra, the endless Celtic triple knot, your unconscious mind is communicating something that sits right at the heart of what Jung spent the last decades of his life trying to understand. The Triquetra is one of the most mathematically perfect symbols ever produced by the human hand. One continuous line. No beginning. No end. 3 distinct sections that are simultaneously separate and completely unified. And Jung saw in this symbol the most accurate representation of what he called the transcendent function, the capacity of the human psyche to hold opposites without needing to resolve them, to contain contradiction without being destroyed by it. The people who are drawn to the Triquetra are people who carry a particular kind of internal complexity that the world often does not know how to respond to. You contain multitudes. You are capable of feeling 2 completely opposite things at the same time with equal sincerity. You can love something and know it is wrong for you simultaneously. You can hold deep certainty and profound doubt in the same moment. And the world around you, which generally prefers things to be one way or the other, has probably spent a great deal of time making you feel that this complexity is a flaw, something to be resolved, something to be simplified. Your unconscious is choosing the Triquetra today to tell you something different. The line that forms a symbol does not resolve its own complexity. It moves through it, over and under and through, continuously, without ever needing to straighten itself out. That is not a flaw. That is the most sophisticated form of psychological wholeness that exists. If you chose the spiral of life, the ancient stone-carved spiral, then your unconscious has chosen a symbol that Jung encountered more frequently than almost any other in the deep unconscious material of his patients. And he came to believe that its prevalence was not accidental. The spiral appears in nature at every scale of existence. In the chambers of a nautilus shell, in the arms of galaxies, in the structure of DNA itself, in the growth pattern of every living plant. Jung saw the spiral as the unconscious mind's most honest map of how psychological growth actually works, not in a straight line, not in a clean upward progression from problem to solution, but in wide revolutions that keep returning to the same themes, the same wounds, the same questions, but each time from a slightly different angle, each time with slightly more understanding, each time a little closer to the center. The person who chooses a spiral today is someone who has been hard on themselves about the fact that they keep returning to the same places, the same fears, the same patterns, the same unresolved questions, and they have interpreted this returning as failure, as evidence that they are not growing, not healing, not moving forward. Jung would say something completely different. He would say that returning to the same place is not failure. It is the spiral doing exactly what the spiral is designed to do. You are not going in circles. You are going inward. You are not stuck. You are converging. The center is closer than it has ever been. And the fact that you chose this symbol today means that somewhere beneath your frustration, your unconscious already knows it. If you chose the Ankh, the ancient Egyptian symbol of eternal life, your unconscious is speaking about something that very few psychological frameworks have the language to address. And Jung was one of the rare thinkers who took it completely seriously. The Ankh has been described by Egyptologists as the key of life, but Jung interpreted it through a much deeper lens. He saw the Ankh as a symbol of what he called the transcendence of the personal self. The loop at the top of the Ankh is not decorative. It is structural. It is the part that is carried, the part that is held. And what it represents is the understanding that there is a dimension of who you are that is not subject to the same limitations as your daily biographical, time-bound self. The person who chooses the Ankh today is someone who has been living almost entirely inside time, inside urgency, inside the pressure of what needs to happen, and when, and how, and whether it will be enough. You've been so focused on the horizontal dimension of your life, the day-to-day, the to-do list, the timelines, the measures of progress, that you have lost almost complete contact with the vertical dimension, the part of you that exists outside of all of that, the part of you that was present before any of your current problems existed and will be present long after they are resolved. Jung said that reconnecting with this dimension is not escapism. It is the most practical thing a person can do. Because when you remember that you are larger than your current circumstances lose their power to define you. The Ankh is not asking you to leave your life. It is asking you to remember how large you actually are, whatever symbol called to you today. I want to leave you with something that Carl Jung wrote late in his life, after decades of sitting with thousands of human beings in their most honest and most vulnerable moments. He said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, not who you were told to be, not who your circumstances shaped you into, not who you became in order to survive, but who you actually are, at the deepest level, in the most honest center of yourself where none of the noise from the outside world has ever been able to reach. The symbol you chose today did not create something new inside you. It recognized something that was already there, something ancient, something that belongs not just to you, but to every human being who has ever stood exactly where you're standing, facing exactly what you are facing, and felt the same pull towards something they could not yet fully name. Jung spent his entire life trying to build a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious, between the person you show the world and the person who lives in the depths below that. The symbol you chose today is a stone in that bridge, just one stone. But bridges are built one stone at a time. And the fact that you are here, that you trusted your instinct, that you let yourself be reached by something ancient and honest and true, means that the bridge is already further along than you knew. Keep building it. The other side is worth reaching.